Well guys, it is Monday the 22nd of April 2024 and that means only one thing. The Carrot Corner subscription service is finally here. Man, what a relief, what a load off my mind. I've been working on this for a long time. I've been sourcing coaches, compiling videos, building pages, making all the bits and bobs of the website work. And yeah, we've got there. Our ethos is simple. We want to bring you the most affordable and amazing value for money product that we've ever made at Carrot Corner. We want to give you content not just from me, but from lots of other poker players who are really passionate about teaching the game. The coaches I've taken on in recent times, they're all really strong poker players. They're cash game professionals, but they also have a passion for bringing you content. And that's really important. They're not just doing it because they have a quota of videos to create. They're passionately coming up with series ideas that benefit their own game. They're working on themselves by making videos for you guys, and you'll see that in the way they come across in their videos. Today we're going to watch a Cruiser video, we're going to watch a bit of an Alex Pinheiro video, a bit of a Sebastian video, and we're going to see some of the stuff that is on Carrot Corner now for you to get. Every Monday for the next few weeks, a new coach is going to be dropped there. If you have any questions or comments about the subscription service, you can ask down below. You can also email us at support@carrotcorner.com. And yeah, I want to know what you guys think, and I'm going to do my best now to watch these videos, pausing, unpausing, giving you a few of my thoughts. I'll try and keep it brief. I want it to be mainly you just watching the coach explain things. But I hope you like it. I hope it gives you a really good idea about what's going on behind the scenes, what's waiting for you if you subscribe at Carrot Corner. Let's get to it. So this is very much a behind the scenes look, because even though subscriptions are live, this is a few days before they're going live that I'm recording this. We don't quite have all of the right buttons here for the coaches. The ones who are available on launch aren't exactly the set of coaches, but you get the idea. Apart from that, this is how the page is going to look. This is where you actually go to watch your videos after you've subscribed. So this is our subscriber library. It's similar to our course library, which you might be familiar with if you are the owner of a Carrot Corner course, like Carrot Poker School. So the three coaches that we're going to be launching with are going to be myself with 10 episodes of Charivi. You can see them all there. Hover over these, they're going to play. You click them, they're going to take you to a preview. If you're not a subscriber, to a full-length video. If you are, Alex Pinheiro, high stakes, very strong player, philosophy grad, very rational guy. Sebastian, you'll have seen on the channel as well. Extremely good poker player, articulator and coach. And of course, Marco, which is spelled wrong. Sorry, Cruiser. We're getting this changed. This should be a K. He alerted me to this morning. It's C everywhere on the site. So we're going to change all of that. But this is, of course, Cruiser. These are the three guys I want to launch with. There's 19 videos, 3 from each of these guys, and 10 from me. But there's going to be 3 videos every single week. We are never going to miss a release. We're never going to release less than 3 videos. We might release bonus videos at some point. That's the roadmap. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to go ahead and click on some stuff. We're going to watch some stuff, get a free sneak peek. I'm going to try and do like a reaction video where you just see me like watching the content and then reacting to it. I've never really done that before. You see that all the time, like kids these days making that shit on YouTube, right? But we're going to give this a go. So what do I really fancy? What do I want to watch, first of all? I really want to watch episode 1 of Reg Wars by Cruiser. I want to watch lots of stuff, but this is something that I really, really want to watch like first. So let's go here. Unfortunately, Cruiser, you were also given the pink color by the web designer. Each coach has their own colored thumbnail theme. You are the pink guy. But if you can own that, it's the most masculine thing in the world if you can own the pink color, I'm told. So we're going to have a video description in here before everything goes live. That just reminds me that I need to do some video descriptions. In the meantime, let's watch.
Hey guys, what's up? Cruiser here, and this is episode 1 of the series I'm going to be producing for Carrot Corner called Reg Wars. In today's series,
it's funny because originally we told him this was Reg Battles, and then he started calling it Reg Wars. So then I called it Reg Wars somewhere, and then in the second episode, which he sent me the other day, he went back to Reg Battles. So this is just a disaster, Cruiser.
we're gonna examine some of my hands that I 3-betted the pre-flop and it went post-flop, and see how well I played, what are my thoughts, how well I should have played, what I think of my villain's play, etc, etc. So let's jump straight into it. The first hand we have here, we have pocket kings. Button opens, we 3-bet, calls. We get this board, pretty low and dry board. My strategy here would be polarized approach. I'm gonna be using big bet or check. My hand will probably bet most of the time. How I would choose what overpair to bet and what to mix check with, probably depending on my suit. So when I have a spade, I'm more likely to bet because I unblock some of his king X of clubs, hearts. If I had like heart and diamond, I would be willing to check more.
So this is interesting. The king X that's more likely to peel the flop is going to be like the king jack of hearts or the king 10 of clubs or something like that. You might find that king queen of spades is a call because it's like so high in this node, like the pair draw is so good. But what Cruz was really saying there is that when you unblock the spade combos, when those are more likely, you do better by checking and trying to let villain either stab or improve because they're folding more of those to bet. But when you have the spade, you want to bet more often because villain has more of the backdoor king X that actually floats you, and you really want that to happen because of course king queen, king jack, king 10 is dead on this flop. So really cool point.
But anyways, I went for a bet. Billy calls. So we get a ace on the turn. Usually when you get ace after you see bet at the flop, you want to do a lot of small betting because on most of the boards, ace will hit you most of the time because of your ace queens, ace kings, ace jacks, whatever. But on this specific board, it's not really the case because the board is so low. We'll have to defend so many backdoor ace X, so many overcard ace X on the flop that the ace also hits him. So we have to have a checking range as well on the turn.
This is so cool. So like the more innocuous and harmless the flop, the worse the ace is for your range as the aggressor because your opponent's had to continue so many more of their ace X. It's just like Cruz is really good at just coming up with these heuristics that he's obviously studied and just ingrained. And these are things that when I hear them, I'm like, yeah, of course, that's like so obvious, right? But when I'm playing this spot, I'm never realizing that the dryness of the flop has that effect and I'm not adapting to it. So this just shows you like why Cruiser is on such a high level with his theoretical knowledge.
Which I do go for. And we face a stab. Our range in this spot is all the overpairs, 9x, and a lot of our ace-x that we see better the flop with. So against the stab, I think we need to call one with our overpairs. Some of them are better than rest. Like let's say if I had queens here, that would be a better call, even though kings is a better hand in showdown strength, right? Because it's a bigger overpair. But with queens, you also block the villain's main value, which is ace queen.
Anyone realizing that in game here, that queens is probably a better call in real life here than kings? And like you might find that solvers do some weird stuff to counteract that, to try and neutralize your blocker properties and stop you selecting like that. But regardless of what a sim says here, I think Cruz is absolutely right that like blocking ace queen is just so important, especially on a node, to elaborate here, where the button actually has ace queen offsuit and the offsuit combos are just so abundant. So yeah, excellent point. Again, he's just picking up on things that are really specific but important, that you really need like a very vast knowledge of no limit hold'em game trees to understand, and Cruiser has that, which is why we're thrilled to have him on board.
So if I do want to fold some overpairs, I would rather fold jacks, tens over queens and kings, right? So we go with a call. And we get a pretty brick on the river. He's not really going to be having tens in this line because tens is too strong in these configurations to start bluffing the turn already.
Yep.
He might have some ace tens, but that's like one combo of ace 10 of diamonds. And now his range is going to be ace queen off, ace jack suited, pocket nines, pocket deuces, pocket threes for value. Depends how wide he calls pre-flop. Some people fold them pure, these lower pocket pairs. Some people call them a lot. This is also one of the decisions that...
Maybe 4-5 suited as well. But yeah, the value region is not massive here by any means.
I make in game at the end of my thought process. Like I always wonder how many value does he rep based on his stats. So let's say he folds appropriate amount, which is like around 60% button versus small blind. Then he wouldn't have those deuces and threes. But if he likes to play post flop, he would have them at full frequency. And this guy had decent fold to 3-bet, so I wouldn't expect him to have those sets that often. So most of his ranges, his best hands are nines, ace queen, ace 9, ace 10, ace jack. And then he has the bluffs. So what are the bluffs in this spot? They're mostly going to be coming from low pocket pairs. So that's 4s, 5s, 6s, maybe 7s, some backdoor overcards, which are a good barrel on the turn, but they always have to give up on the river, in theory at least. Because once you arrive to the river with those hands, let's say he has King Jack of Hearts, Queen Jack of Clubs, etc. Those are pretty bad bluffs on the river because he blocks my folding range. Like most of my folding range of the river will be those overpairs that I call the turn, and then now I have to fold the river. So his best bluffs are pocket pairs in this scenario. So I check.
So before we see what Cruiser does here, I think we're kind of getting a hint what he might do. I just want to say a couple of things. Like, first off, this is a really important point about when you start bluffing the turn and you have a lot of Broadway combos, you have these like 4s, 5s, 6s that people I think are going to miss at lower stakes. If you are playing 25 and L or something, it might not be the case that these are making it to river on this node all that often. You might have to play a bit differently, but certainly against a decent player, we're in a situation here where because Cruiser has called the turn and his range is strengthened, he's shed the bottom of that range. The button is no longer in what we'd say in the Carrot Poker School is a favourable world, right? The button no longer has that big equity advantage that he probably had at the point where Cruiser checked the turn, because now Cruiser shed the bottom of range by calling. And what that means is that many of your bluffs, when the river doesn't absolutely smash your range, and let's face it, this 10 river doesn't do a lot for button's range, many of your bluffs just do have to give up in those situations. And that's why it might be the case, I'm not sure exactly what Cruiser is going to say here, but it might be the case that this is like an overbluffed node, in Cruiser's opinion, based on that demand to give up loads of those hands. The other thing I want to say is that if you do face this line at lower stakes against a less competent opponent, it might be less clear, just because, well, on the one hand, they actually have to find value jams with ace queen, which I don't think is that easy. On the other hand, though, like, stronger players will be finding them and they'll have more value. But then the flip side is that, like, the weaker players at lower stakes won't bluff the turn with 5s as often as people will here. So I don't know, it's actually a double-edged sword. Maybe I'm just not sure how I'd want to deviate here between the stakes. There are things pushing and pulling in different directions, read-wise.
He jams, and now I have a decision. I have to think about my range here. So I have so many ace-x here that I can call, and that's pretty much probably enough. Maybe I can mix call with queens, exactly because I block ace queen. But most of my other overpairs are probably going to be easy folds.
So this is probably a GTO fold, but that doesn't mean Cruiser's going to fold, because he's very good at saying, this is the theory, but this is the practice, right? He's not going to stop his thought process here, I'm pretty sure of it. But let's see.
At this point. But then again, this guy is pretty aggro.
There's the but.
As I said, he really needs to understand the spot to not overbluff this node. With those queen jacks, king 10s, with flop backdoors, and also all the low pocket pairs, etc, etc. So if he bluffs all of those hands, our hand isn't really a fold anymore, he isn't really 0 EV, a mix. He becomes a pure call. If he overbluffs this node, which I have stats on him, he's pretty aggro, I expect him to overbluff as hell. And also one of the reasons I called is because of my king of spades. If he is going to bluff those backdoor stuff, it's way better to have king of spades because I unblock the bluffs like hearts and clubs.
And just to make that clear, because king x of spades folds more on the flop than hearts, clubs, or diamonds do. So half the time that you have pocket kings, you'll have the spade. And so that 50% of your kings combos are higher EV calls in reality than the others. Not by loads, but it's enough to swing it if you're on the fence. But it sounds like Cruiser's already solved this spot. So this is kind of a masterclass in knowing the theory absolutely amazingly. This guy's a beast. I don't even think he's necessarily even looking at a sim here. I think this is just off the top of his head. And then deviating based on what he thinks of pool, opponent, how easy it would be to hit the GTO. So the better you know the GTO, the more easily you can actually predict the imbalances in your opponent's game. And that's why it's so important to do both. It's nonsense that you can get good at poker by just learning exploitative play. You can't become a true EV aficionado without some theory backbone behind the scenes to be your foundation. So if you're trying to make true EV decisions, like what's better in reality, you've got to start with some kind of solid baseline like we saw here. This is a masterclass in protocol of thought process, in my opinion.
So I go for a call. It is an overcall from my perspective, but I thought he would also overbluff, so that's why I did it in the end. And he had a pretty good played pocket sixes, which is a standard bluff, I believe, in these spots. So yeah.
So sixes has these unblocking properties to what's perceived to be Cruiser's folding range, but because Cruiser's like, nah, hold on a minute, you're overdoing it here, you don't have that much value, you might not have threes or deuces at all, and you have to find all of the ace queen jams just to have like a lot of value here. Even ace 10 might not bet the turn all the time, it's going to check the turn at a decent frequency because it's somewhat mediocre. Like, okay, it's strong, but it's not like amazing. So yeah, really, really cool spot.
All right, next hand.
So to see the king 10 of spades hand, if you enjoyed that as much as I did, I'm sure you want to, but you're going to have to head over to carrotcorner.com and subscribe to check out the rest of Reg Battles or Reg Wars. I think we're just going to use the two titles independently, interchangeably rather. I mean, yeah, what a mess. What do you prefer, Reg Battles or Reg Wars? I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? I think these are more battles than wars because wars take like a long time and these are just hands. But yeah, anyway, I'm ranting. Let's get to another bit of content here. So we do have stuff from James and Justin coming in future weeks. We also have other coaches lined up that you can't see here who are going to be making content as well. It'll be at least 3 videos a week, as I say. So although we only start with 19 videos, there's going to be loads more coming. So by the time you've watched those 19, you know, the other ones will be dropping. We will try and showcase the coaches that are launching week by week. It'll be Monday that videos come out, and we'll try and showcase them just, you know, on YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that. On Discord, we'll be announcing it. We'll get them on the show on YouTube and stuff like that. Another feature of Carrot Corner, now that the subscriptions are out, is that you're going to have this our most recent videos section. This will be on the homepage, but it's also going to be on the video library page, the subscriber library page as well. And the idea is that at a glance, when you log on, you can just quickly see what's new because the first 3 videos here will be the newest ones. That's not the case on launch because we're trying to just give an even mix of different stuff from different people. So you can see the slider here is just a sample of the variety that we're launching with. You can hover over to get flavor. You can click these. If you're not a subscriber, like I say, you can click them and it'll take you to a preview page where you can actually watch the first minute or 2 of a video to get a feel for like what kind of stuff is on offer. We want you to be able to see inside the shop window. So we have this little hover system, which I think is really cute. And I think the web designer's done a really good job with this. I suppose we should also address the elephant in the room, which is pricing. So you can subscribe either monthly or yearly. The idea is that if you subscribe monthly, there's this flat rate of $49.99, but we do have a special promo where if you pick up the full scholarship, you can get 3 months for free. So if you're already a full scholarship buyer, you get a discount. And if you are a new full scholarship buyer, you can actually literally get your first 3 months for free. So there's a slight difference there depending on whether you're buying the full scholarship after subscriptions are out or before, but there is a discount either way. We're looking after everyone and making sure that people who have got the Carrot Poker School in its entirety are rewarded for that. The yearly price is cheaper just now. Well, it's cheaper anyway, right? Because 6 times 50 is 300 and you get this like for £120 off if you subscribe yearly. So if you do think you're going to sub yearly, it's definitely worth going for the yearly payment plan instead of the monthly one. But until May the 6th, we also have this early bird deal going on right now where we have a further £50 off on the yearly price if you get in there before then. So we want to reward our keen, loyal customers that are waiting eagerly for this to come out by giving them some extra stuff. Do bear in mind that when you hit the subscribe button and you go to the product page and you actually sign up, you will not be given access to premium courses like the Carrot Poker School and Cash Injection. Those are separate. To get those, you want to go to their respective pages over here and get them that way. So hopefully that is making some sense. That's how it works. That's the pricing. I think it's pretty fair when you think about the fact that eventually there are going to be, you know, hundreds of videos for you to watch. This is the best value product we've ever come out with by far. It's not even close. This is easily the best value for money on Carrot Corner. And it's not even just me. You might be getting tired of me. So I'm finding tons of other coaches as well. Right. I think we should watch some other content now. So let's see what we can find here. I've already shown you a couple of episodes of Trivi. So I don't even think I want to show you that. I think we should watch something from Alex. So let's do that now. Let's click on one of these videos here and see what it's like. Oh, this one's missing a link. We need to go and fix that. See, I'm also testing things right now. This is pre-launch and I'm finding small bugs. I'll try and remember that. All right, let's go here. So this video is called Did We Miss Value? And it's Alex's analysis of some hands where he decided not to value bet the river, but did have the chance to. And he's wondering whether he missed out on something. So this is a really cool thing to analyze. And Alex does have a series coming out called Aggress to Impress, which I'm super excited about. That's dropping over the next month or two. But for now, let's watch some of his initial content here on Carrot Corner.
Hey guys, it's Alex. I'm back with another themed hand review video. Today's video theme is going to be hands where I checked back the river when I had...
You may have noticed it was a little bit blurry there when it first started playing. That's because our videos are transcoded and we have different variations of them based on your connection. So if you are like out and about and you're watching this on your phone or you've got a bad connection, instead of just stopping or buffering, the video will just reduce its quality slightly to allow you to actually stream it. So that's a cool little feature if you're on the go or if you just live in a place with like a terrible internet connection.
Had the opportunity to value bet. And the question I'm going to be asking primarily with today's hands is going to be whether these value bets are correct checkbacks or whether they're mistaken missed value bets. And I'm going to be using the solver to both look at the hand as a whole, but mainly to check my value betting threshold on these river decisions. Before I get to each river decision and reveal the answer, you should pause the video and go through the process of asking yourself and reasoning logically about what is the weakest hand you would value bet in that scenario, and if my hand classifies as that. Both make a guess as to what the solver is going to say, and make a guess as to whether human opponents deviate in some predictable way from the solver's advice. Or rather, whether your opponents deviate in some predictable way such that the solver's advice is not applicable.
Hero covers everyone at the table here, by the way. I know my webcam's over that. It's 172 big blinds, so effective stack is always villain stack in this video. Just because my face is over this right now and you can't see it.
Our first hand here, we open ace deuce of clubs from the cutoff. We get a call from the big blind, from a regular in the big blind. Regular on the weaker side, but still not a terrible player. Not at all. Ace king 9, monotone. I bet a little under 1/5 pot. Very small sizings, I think, are my general strategy on monotone boards. And on ace king 9, I think you can bet or you can check this hand. I think the strategy is going to be sort of mixed and polar, but I'm not totally sure. I think there are some monotone boards that you bet actually quite frequently, but I don't know. This hand's...
I love the humility, like high stakes player made like 6 figures from poker in the last year, easily, like good 6 figures, and it's just like, I don't know, like who knows? He's not pretending to know everything. And this to me is like a really reassuring fact with a coach. If someone is like pretending to know everything, it fills me with discomfort. Where someone has a bit of like reservedness and is like, I don't know. I think that's an awesome trait. And the better you get at poker, the more willing I think you are to just say you don't know when you don't know and not worry about it because you know enough, right?
It certainly seems fine to bet for a small size. It can afford to versus population and pool. Population's going to continue as it's meant to. Some big offsuit hands with a spade. Going to continue any king X, any ace X, probably any 9X, and pocket pairs with a spade as well. Other than that, I think we're supposed to be folding, probably indifferent with hands that are gut shots without a spade. And then of course gut shots with the spade are qualify as those big card Broadway hands that I talked about before. So that's mainly villain's range here on the turn. 3 of clubs, I would 75 or check this turn. I think our hand is maybe on the border of being able to afford 75ing. Again, we're able to get value from hands that are in the like strong draw category.
I feel like it's gonna pure check, like it's slightly too weak for that, but I could be totally wrong here.
That are pretty dominant in villain's range. So actually I could get behind a value bet here, regardless of whether the solver says you should be value betting this turn. I suspect it might say that it's a pure check back, but we check it back this time. River's a queen.
There we go. That makes me feel better. So again, what you'll see the best players do time and time again is that they will state what they think is the case in theory, and then they will state what they think is the case in terms of true EV. And the reason we say true EV is that we want to differentiate those two things and be very explicit about that. Because it's not just okay to stop at solver analysis and say, therefore we do that. That's what, you know, a kind of rigid poker player will do. But when you get to like a player that has a really high win rate at a good stake in a tough game, you're going to see that they are always going through both aspects of viewing the hand.
And villain checks the river. At this point, I think our hand actually has a fair bit of equity. Now, the board is pretty scary, and so smart villains are going to be overfolding this run out, I think, because when there's 3 Broadways on the board, population tends to underbluff because the landing range, the range that villains get to this spot with after they've opened from in position,
I'm grinning because, like, Alex has become a beast at the game, but he took Carrot Poker School originally, and he has all of the Carrot Poker School jargon. So it just makes me really happy when I see someone like this, like, and I'm not taking accountability for this at all, because Alex has just done a ton of work on his own, and there are loads of other factors that explain his success in the game, other than taking the Carrot Poker School. I just like to hear the jargon that we use in the school, like, in a video like this, unprompted, you know. It's not like I'm like gun to his head, say landing range or anything like that. I'm just a big fan of that term. I think it's a great term for just understanding the exact point in the range, the exact point in the hand where that is villain's range. Like the range someone gets to a spot with is the first thing you want to think about before you think about how that range then splits with different actions. So landing range is cool.
They tend to be showdown value heavy, and showdown value heavy ranges are going to underbluff in general. But I don't know if this villain is smart enough to be implementing an exploitative strategy of overfolding this node, so I don't think that's that relevant. I think what's more relevant is that our hand has a lot of equity here, and so we should value bet, because villain's range is populated with a lot of random pocket pairs with a spade, random queen X hands or king X hands with a spade. My guess is that aces are going to be mainly probing. King X could be probing with a 1/3 sizing much of the time, but I'm not totally sure how this villain is going to be playing this spot. And to be honest, I'm rather understudied on monotone boards myself. So I went for the check back. I think this is a mistake. That's actually a bit of a spoiler for my attitude about this, but go ahead and make a guess as to what the weakest hand the solver is going to value bet in this spot is.
And to see the solver analysis which follows, you're going to have to, that's right, check it out at carrotcorner.com. I think it's only fair that we also look at a video now from Sebastian, since we've not done that yet. So let's go back to our library here. Let's go down to Sebastian. What do I want to look at here? High stakes hand review is pretty cool. Just a good one for YouTube. Preflop greed is an awesome video. It's all about how you can do stuff pre-flop because you've predicted edges post-flop and tailored your strategy towards it. Framework for bluff catching is also just super solid. But let's start with high stakes hand review, I think.
Hey everybody, this is Sebastian from Carrot Corner. I'm going to do some hand review today from the last few sessions that I've played. Just talk about some spots versus fish.
I think Sebastian needs like a backdrop, like a curtain or something. He's making this in his office, I think. There's like books and stuff everywhere. Yeah, we'll get him like a nice orange curtain, I think.
Spots versus regs, take you through my thought process, look at the solver a little bit, but not too much, and take it from there. This is a hand played versus a whale at 2500 NL. This is a whale who's not afraid to put money in, definitely a bit passive and stationy with draws, even marginal draws, and definitely a whale who will bluff catch in spots with things like ace high or king high or bottom pair. So obviously there's no folding here to the size. Versus a fish, I'm not going to fold even to a sizable 3-bet here, unless I think that they're really nitty and they only 3-bet 5% of range.
And that's probably like skill edge based, right? Like if we think we have an edge post flop, we want to just play more hands pre-flop. That's in the same vein as the pre-flop greed video that he put out as well.
But when I see this size, I make a light assumption that this is normally geared around hands that the fish feels like they should put more money in with, but they are afraid to isolate versus better hands. So things like pocket nines, pocket eights, things like ace jack, these are the hands that most often I see 3-bet to the smaller size, and if they have something like queens, they feel obligated to 3-bet larger instead. Now every now and then you'll see a fish that's 3-betting the size because they want you to 4-bet, but for the most part I'm going to kind of put them on a mergey range here with no other information. So we get this flop, pretty interesting flop. It's a board where villain should not be going crazy, probably a lot of checking, probably like maybe even some weird like check shove types.
So again, we start with the theory. You'll see how these strong players begin with theory and then move out into exploitative thoughts. This is very much the roadmap that we're recommending that you guys try to follow.
Stuff, because if you have a hand like kings or queens, there's almost no good turn card in the deck. I mean, a 10 is good if you have queens, but for the most part, all turns make you sad. So if the hand has 55% equity or something, like you might see some weird shoves going on. That would probably be more true if they had 3-bet a normal size and we were 100 big blinds deep. Rambling a bit. So fish bets large here. I see a lot of fish 3-bet and then bet large on the flop. I think they probably have noticed that betting large on the flop usually gets a fold. They like that result, and so they're going to go large here with a wide portion of range. I could see a lot of hands like ace-king here, ace-king with a heart, ace-king without a heart, and this could be their entire range. We don't know yet. So definitely calling. And on the turn, not an amazing turn, really. Mostly I'm worried about hands like king queen, ace queen, queen jack, maybe queen nine, stuff like that. But we have boat outs. We're not going anywhere. This size is, again, similar to the pre-flop action, kind of mergy size to me. You should go after this size a lot. Like if
So you'll see the difference here. The first hand cruiser looked at was against the reg. Alex is then battling a reg as well. Sebastian is playing against the fish in this hand. And the thought process is so much more geared towards hand reading and so much less geared towards theory. And that's exactly the way you want to be reacting. You almost want to have these two gears that you can just switch in and out of.
you see the size on the river, it's often not bad to shove really, really light, both for value, like thin value bets, and also as a bluff. So I think this is going to be
It's bet size equals hand strength, right? There's a rule here against fish.
a lot of one pair hands like ace jack, king jack, stuff like that. Maybe ace 10. I'm not expecting to see a queen very often. I'm not expecting to see a flush draw that often. And I'm not expecting to see even like a set. Well, maybe a set would bet this size. It's a little bit of a weird board because the size indicates that they feel their hand is marginal, but it's a lot of different things could be considered marginal on this board. Like set could be considered marginal or one pair could be considered marginal. It depends on how the fish thinks. Again, like I'm still pretty happy on this turn. I kind of expect to see ace jack most often if I had to guess a hand. And the river is very good, obviously. They check.
So the turn range is going to contain hands that just shouldn't really be betting at all at equilibrium, like actual polarization mistakes that don't want to check, but also bet size equals hand strength. And that's very common with fish. They're just betting hands that are pure checks.
Now, I talked to a friend, and that friend, plays very high stakes, and they said, they would just go for the shove here. I actually don't agree with that, just because I do try to make pretty precise reads against fish specifically, and if you just look at the way they played the hand, 3-betting so small, betting so big on the flop, and then betting so small on the turn, it's not really the way I expect them to play a queen. So I could shove and try to get called by like trips, but I block trips, and so I'm still kind of putting them on that ace-jack type of region, and therefore I bet a size to get called by ace-jack. And if you have good reads versus fish, then I think that's perfectly reasonable. If you don't have a confident read, then if you have a strong hand, you should just bet as much as you can for the most part. And yeah, so the fish calls and they had sevens, which is a hand I should have considered in game, but I didn't. Again, like this is what I mean by on the turn, you can see how they probably think of their hand as marginal. It is kind of marginal. It's also fairly strong, so it's a bit of a weird spot. Not a lot to take away from this hand for your games because the spot will be so uncommon, except pay attention to the sizings of fish, because the sizing tells off of fish can sometimes be really, really massive. Okay.
All right, so that's the end of that hand review. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you've got more of an insight now into what to expect from our subscription service. It was a lot of work to set up, but I'm really happy with the result. I'm happy with the look of it. And I can't wait for the content that's coming out this year. I think we can do something really special. We set up subscriptions because, as I said in the introduction, we really want to be a cash game specialized training site so that if you play No Limit Hold'em cash games, you can feel like there's a place that you can go where only cash game content is going to come out and all of your subscription money goes towards cash game content. You're not paying money per month or per year towards, triple draw videos or PLO videos or tournament videos, and you don't play any of those things. And that was something that really annoyed me when I used to subscribe to training sites back in the day, is that like the videos would drop for the day and I'd be like super eager to see what they were, and it was like 7-card stud. And I'd be like, I don't want to watch this shit. I'm not like an old man that plays 7-card stud, or at least I wasn't an old man at the time. Good art, that's debatable now. So hopefully Monday goes with no hitches, and on Monday you'll watch this video, you'll click the top link in the description, you'll head over to Carrot Corner, and you'll begin watching and enjoying this content, and you will join our Discord group as well, by the way. When you pick up a subscription, you'll become part of that thriving community. All these guys that you're seeing here have hand channels in our Discord group. So you're going to see Alex giving feedback. Actually, does Cruiser have a hand channel yet? I'm not sure we've got him set up with one yet, but certainly Alex and Sebastian give feedback on hands. Other coaches like James and Justin have hand channels. They give feedback on hands. I have a hand channel. True EV, just to remind you, there are 10 episodes of this here. And I don't know, I'm kind of like not excited. Like you should be excited about True EV because I think it's a really good course, but I'm kind of not, because I like watching the content the other coaches send in because I made this content and I want to sit and watch it. I'm not quite that vain. Anyway, guys, we'll see you for another video on YouTube very soon. Any questions about the subscription service, do just email us, support@carrotcorner.com. If you're a coach who specializes in cash games, you have some decent results at some decent stakes over a decent sample, do feel free to hit us up, and you too can make content for Carrot Corner. I'll just finalize by saying that if you want to look at our coaches, we'll have a button on the library page where you can click to go to the bio of each coach, and you will see results there. You will see a not testimonial, sorry, but like a bio text, like a bit of backstory. And there'll also be a link to hire these guys for one-to-ones if you want to do private coaching with Alex, Sebastian, Cruiser, and the other guys. They will all have links in their bios for you to get in touch with them one-to-one and work with them privately. We want to help our coaches thrive. We want to give them loads of options and cool stuff to look forward to. We're not just here to pay them money for videos, but we want to do more than that as well. So you can hire these guys for coaching. We don't take a cut. That's nothing to do with Carrot Corner. It's just an option that we've got on there as well. All right, guys, see you soon, and thanks for watching. I'll look forward to more of your comments and questions in the comment section. Bye for now.